Well, hey, long time coming, but we're finally going to be breaking down New Thing Coming by Elevation Worship. And it's been one of the most asked about songs in the past couple months for like a breakdown and lesson. And so I'm finally getting around to sitting down and breaking the parts down. And I'm not really surprised that it's been one of the most requested one, is because it's got one of the most unique bass parts I've heard in a long time. I said this about another Elevation Worship song, but this one is really unique and interesting in a different way. That one, the way it used effects. This one, in the way that's played, the part itself, it's kind of like got a reggae feel. It's got a groove. It's the chorus. So they're fusing some different genres together and making it work. I guarantee you, when they were writing the song, they probably were like, the song is New Thing Coming. We need something new and different and unique to this song. And so this is what they came up with. And I think I'm here for it. It sounds really cool and very different than like what your standard kind of contemporary worship praise kind of music is, where it's just more kind of rock rhythms and stuff like that, where it's more straight. So super cool. We're going to dig into it. We're going to count it out, and I'll also provide an alternative of how to play that part in a very basic way if you're not necessarily able to play it exactly how it should be played, because it's not an easy part. It's you're playing on the offbeat and all those kind of things. The tuning of the bass in this case, I am just going to be in regular tuning for this. In the recording, the original way, they are tuned with all the strings just tuned half a step down. So this would be B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. And the song is in E flat, so they're taking advantage of some of those open strings. For our purposes, to keep it simple, I am just going to be in E flat. My bass is a little bit like out of tune. I adjusted the neck recently, the truss rod, and I have not intonated it, but I figured I would just make this video anyways, because that's more important than the intonation. It's slightly off. It does bother me, but I think we can deal with it. The final thing, I think, is just like the tone. You'll listen to this part on the bass, and you'll kind of, I think you'll be surprised if you haven't heard it, like the multi-track with the bass part, because it's a very unique, interesting tone. It is not a tone that I would say is a good tone by itself, like isolated. If somebody was trying to demo this bass using the tone that is in the song, it'd be like, nah, I'm good. But it's the perfect and the incredible tone for this song. That is a video I am working on, as well as just like how a lot of bass players make mistakes. Their tone being set up in a way that sounds good by itself, like soloed, but not sounding good in the band context or like live context or recording context. And I think one of the reasons that I've been able to play at a lot of different churches and gotten like asked and invited to play and I've gotten complimented on my tone, because I've always approached bass that way, is like, how does it sound in the band? And to me, my tone almost never sounds amazing by itself. Like I can't, like I've listened to a lot of plenty of bass players on YouTube and everywhere. And I'm like, man, that bass sounds amazing. But I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp of making it sound good in a mix. And that's a video that I want to make. So that's a little bit of a side note. And if that video comes out, I'm going to try to link it somewhere here. I do have a playthrough of this song in a different key. I am working on the playthrough in E flat, but I'll try to link those as well if once they're up, and the one that is up, I'll link it up here. So check out this bass. Like I was saying, very unique tone, and not a tone that you would expect.
Verse 1.
So intro, very straightforward, just on the one. And I am just going to be using the number system just to keep things simple and moving along. I know I've done these breakdowns before, and I've kind of given the notes, the fret position, and all that stuff. But I am just going to be using the number system, and I'll kind of throw it in the description of like what number is what chord in this key. And I'll also add a cheat sheet if I can figure out like an overlay, maybe somewhere on the screen for the video. But I'm just going to be talking in numbers. And I actually highly recommend learning number system, because then it'll kind of open up a whole new world of bass and music for you, because you'll be able to also transpose and play in a lot of different keys. So there's a lot of benefits to knowing that Nashville number system. And walk you through those. F or 1 would be E flat major. F would be 2, F minor. G minor would be 3. 4 would be A flat. 5 would B flat. 6 C minor. 7 D, and then back to 1. So those are going to be the numbers that we're going to be using for this song. And believe it or not, this is a song that uses all 7. Not many songs don't, but this one does. Verse 1, there's nothing happening from the bass end. Verse 2 is where the bass does come back in, and it's just kind of more long sustained notes. So I'll talk through those real quick. So it's just on the 1 again, 2, and then 5.
Vamp, drums in.
So fairly straightforward there, nothing too crazy. And then that sets us up, gets us into that chorus. And so the chorus is really where things get fun. So let's make
Chorus.
So what is going on? Super cool part. It's really worth looking at the drums before, and this is what I recommend. Like, if you're a bass player and you're not listening to the drums, you're doing it wrong. It always helps to know like where are the kicks going, right? Where are the toms going? So if we listen to the groove, just listen to it. So kicks are on 1 and of 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So kicks are on 1 and the and of 2. And then there's also these toms in between. So in this case, that would be what would be 1E and 1E and yeah. So it's a 16th on that first tom, and then the second tom. So that's just on 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So those are like the building blocks of this groove from the drum side, and the bass is working within those blocks. And it's interesting to see like where the notes are placed, where they're on top of each other, and where they're sometimes in between. So before we dive into the timing, it helps to talk about like the notes, right? So we're basically going from 3 to the 2 and just doing that low octave on the 2. And there's also some ghost notes in there. So a ghost note is just where you're hitting the string, not playing a note. And that's the first part. So ghost note, 3, 2. Back to, and then the low 2. There's also a ghost note on the E string. So if I play it slowly, and that's not necessarily in time or rhythmically or anything like that. So counting. So remember, we talked like the kicks are going on 1 and the and of 2. And in this case, the downbeat where the kick is just open space. There's no, the bass is not doing anything. And then on the and of 1, so 1 and is the ghost note. So 1 and 1 and then 2 and you're playing the 3 and 2. 1 and I'm doing it really slow. And then on the 3 and is another ghost note. 3 and then 4, where that floor tom hits, is where you're playing the low note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the part. And if we do a little bit faster, 1 2 3 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That second part is 3 to the 4 to the 1 to the 4 on the B string. Play it slowly for you. And again, there's a ghost note. So first would be the ghost note. No ghost note as opposed to the first bar. 1 4. So if we put that together, 3 4. Believe it or not, that is pretty much going to get you through the chorus. Here and there's just like there's different variations of that part, but that's basically it in a nutshell. The only thing that changes is on the 4th bar. So you play that twice, and on the very last, the 4th time, you're going to go back to the 1. Just back to the 1. In some cases, they're playing the 6. And in one case, I think he plays so like 3 to 5. But the way I just demonstrated, so 3 2, and then 3 4 1 4. That will get you through the entire chorus. The timing is really the hardest part. And the one other thing I would say is that as you're working on this and figuring it out, and I know I have people like of different levels that watch these videos, but if you need a really basic way to play this part, you can just play 1 2 3 4. So let me show you.
Chorus.
I used to like band direct a lot. I would always say just play things more simply but more confidently, because with a part like this, if the drummer is, depending on the level of the drummer you're playing with and the level of the singers and the band, like if you're playing a little bit off, you have a high chance of throwing somebody else off and then and that could be a train wreck. So just play it simpler unless you're confident, can nail it. And your drummer can also, keep that kind of groove solid and everything like that. I'm going to quickly go through like the refrain. Refrain 1 is just 3 2 3 4 3 3 2 and then 3 2 4. The second time through, we're just going to be adding the octaves. So that is one way to do that part. He does ghost notes there as well. So no ghost note. So that's kind of the refrain. Verse 3, pretty straightforward as well. One thing that I want to highlight there is that they're doing the 2 hits, but they're also doing the octave and they're sliding down. This is a move that I feel like Shae does in other songs as well, so it's something kind of signature to him. So, and just sliding down. I think in the original he's probably playing the open E flat, but for us, the first half is just kind of whole notes, and then you're going into quarter notes here. And that's where he's doing that. And then we're going to build and go higher.
Chorus.
And then back to reggae bass. It's not really reggae, but I feel like reggae is the thing that came to mind because of the offbeat bass parts that come in. One thing in that particular section is that you can also add an additional ghost note on when you're making your way down through this, like the 5th shape. So extra ghost note adds more of that forward motion. Refrain 2 we talked about a little bit.
Refrain 1. Instrumental.
So they skip the there, and just to, I think since it's a down instrumental, this kind of is more moving something forward to like a next big section, but here we're kind of winding things down because we're going to be building up for the next 10 minutes or whatever it is. It's kind of it is a long song. The bridge, one thing that's really cool is where the bass comes in, and this is something that when you're as a bass player, if you're flowing through a section, like, or figuring out a part for a bass for a song, like these are fun things to consider and to keep in mind.
Bridge 2.
So it doesn't, like, typically it would come in right here because that's the next bridge or the repeat of the bridge, but yeah, just kind of almost like matching the vocal a little bit. That's just 1, 2, 3. On the A string. And then he does leave this, like, it's like a power chord kind of hanging out there, which is kind of interesting. There's a reason I want to talk about the chords. I know I said I was going to use just like letter numbers, but because of the inversions, basically this is the entire progression. For the rest of the song is just this C minor, B flat major, E flat over, or G in the bass, but E flat major, and then A flat major, and it's just throughout the rest of the song they're using different inversions. So in this case, it's just 6, 5, 3, which is basically the first inversion of the one chord, so E flat. And so in the bass they're just playing 3, but the chord is 1, and then 4, and then as that bridge builds, they change it up and they go 6, 7 in the bass, which is just that A flat, but with the D, B flat with the D in the bass, and then 1. So instead of the first time they did a 3 on the 1, but they just changed it up. So that's just like a nice little flavor as a bass player. If you know chords, one of the benefits of knowing chords is you can change up the note that you're playing over the chord and add a new flavor. So the progression is the same, but it feels like a different flavor now. So if we listen to it, I could also demonstrate, for example, that the chords are the same. So I can play what I played in the bridge in the refrain and it would still sound good. So you could do, it's the same chord progression through that section. It's just different versions, which is again something really worth knowing as a bass player, is how to use some of those things. Moving into the next, so that goes into a drop chorus. So here,
chorus, drums,
and then goes into
refrain 1, all in,
so again with those ghost notes and octaves. And they do have that little walk coming out of that refrain.
refrain 3, breakdown,
And here, just hanging on the 1 for a while.
refrain 3, drums in,
So that's 6, 7, 5. I'm just sliding down. And then back to the 1.
refrain 3,
So that they hit that open B flat there, and really just hanging out on that B flat or E flat.
refrain 1,
Back to the refrain. So no ghost notes there if you pay attention in that part. It's cool because it shows how it progresses. In that first refrain, it was just very easy, like. Then in the second refrain, so no. In the third refrain, I think ghost notes every time. So it's just interesting to see like how they do it, and those little slight variations are what make a great, bass player. And when they're using those little things here and there and maintaining interest, even though it may not be heard by the average listener, it still makes and contributes to the song being like amazing and fun to listen to.
bridge 1,
So this is where they go up high and same thing, 6, 7, 1, 4. And the chords, again, it's the same thing. Six, 7, 1, 4. And then another fun part happens here. So that little part is it's just it's 7, basically 1, 1, 7, 5, 2. Sliding down from the 2. And then the next chord is a 7. That, I think, covers most of the song. Hey, look, you made it to the end. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, add this to your planning center, and check out some of the other videos I have on my channel. If you'd like to support the channel, there's some links below. Thanks for watching. See you in the video.